Let me start with something that almost nobody says out loud. When companies need to reduce costs, testing is usually the first thing that gets cut. Not leadership, not strategy, not growth initiatives. Testing. Because testing doesn't generate visible progress. It doesn't look like speed. It doesn't look like innovation. It only prevents problems that might happen later. And later is always someone else's problem. At first, this decision looks reasonable. Deadlines are tight, budgets are under pressure, automation exists. So the thinking becomes simple. If tests are automated, we don't need as many testers anymore. That decision gets approved, releases still go out, nothing breaks immediately, and everyone assumes it worked. The problem is that the consequences don't show up where the decision was made. They show up months later, in production, at scale, and that's what we're seeing now. Let's talk about real examples. On October 4th, 2021, Facebook went down. Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, all unavailable for hours. Billions of users affected. Entire businesses unable to communicate. That wasn't a startup learning a lesson. That was core global infrastructure failing publicly. On July 19, 2024, a single faulty security update caused around 8.5 million Windows machines to crash or fail to boot. Airlines grounded flights. Hospitals delayed procedures. Banks and retailers couldn't operate. Delta Airlines alone estimated more than $500 million in losses. This wasn't caused by a lack of smart engineers. It was caused by a system where protection layers had already been reduced. Then there's cloud infrastructure. On October 20th, 2025, a major Amazon Web Services outage disrupted thousands of services worldwide. Not just Amazon products, banking apps, airline systems, internal tools used by companies that didn't even realize how dependent they were. Outages of that scale cost tens of millions of dollars per hour. And again, this wasn't some mysterious failure. It was fragility revealing itself. Sometimes it's even simpler. Look at repeated issues with Windows 11 updates. In several cases, serious problems appeared after a simple restart, not after weeks of usage, not after complex edge cases, after a restart. Anyone who has worked in testing knows this moment. You don't need massive automation. You don't need complex scenarios. You need a few machines and someone asking a boring question. What happens when the system comes back up? So what actually went wrong? Because it's easy to say that testing failed, but that's not accurate. Testing was removed. Automation didn't replace testers. It replaced the illusion of safety. Automated tests don't maintain themselves. They don't adapt when systems change. They don't question whether the test still represents reality. And when testers are reduced, what often replaces testing isn't better testing. It's documentation, reports, traceability, proof that testing happened. Less time testing, more time explaining. At that point, testers stop protecting the product and start feeding the process. And then someone inevitably asks why testers are needed at all. There's another uncomfortable reality. You can't escape this by switching companies. If your banking app fails repeatedly, that doesn't mean another bank is better. It usually means they made the same decisions. They cut testing. They optimized for delivery speed. They accepted long-term risk for short-term efficiency. And because a small number of companies now run most critical systems, users don't really have alternatives. The market no longer corrects quality the way it used to. And this isn't new. In the past, companies learned that too much quality can hurt growth.
Mercedes-Benz once produced the W124 E-Class, a car so reliable that people kept it for decades. It nearly pushed the company into financial trouble. Products that don't fail don't get replaced. Customers who don't need fixes don't generate recurring revenue. That moment changed how durability was viewed. Quality stopped being an absolute goal. It became something to optimize just enough. Software followed the same path. So when platforms crash today, when updates break basic functionality, when outages ripple across entire industries, this isn't incompetence, it's not carelessness, it's the delayed effect of decisions that were rewarded years ago. Testing wasn't removed because it didn't matter. It was removed because its value appears after the savings are already counted. And now we're living in that delay. This isn't a call to panic, it's just clarity. We cut protection, we optimized for growth, and the cost is no longer theoretical, it's visible.